When working with content on your Umbraco CMS website, knowing the difference between static and dynamic content can be essential. Why? Well, because static content is something only implementers of the site can work with, while static content can be updated and changed by content editors and whoever else has access to the content section. My name is Sophie, and in this video, I'll show you the differences between static and dynamic content in Umbraco CMS. Let's take a look. This is the Umbraco CMS website we'll be looking at in today's video. It's a fairly simple site. We have some text, some images, a video, and we have a handful of different subpages up here. Now the page that we'll be looking at in today's video will be the home page here. This page contains content that is added dynamically, while it also contains a bit of static content. But how can you tell the difference? Well, you can't really, at least not from the front end here. So let's jump into the back office here. And the page we were just looking at on the front end is this one here, the welcome page. Everything that is added here on the content node in the content section of the back office here is what we call the dynamic content. This can all be changed by editors or whoever has access to this content section. Now, where's the static content then? We'll find that in the template used to show all of this content on the front end. We'll find the correct template from the info tab up here, and we'll open the template here. The template consists of a mix of HTML and Razor. HTML is used to build the structure of the view, but also for adding static content to the website. Razor, on the other hand, is used to add dynamic content to the page. It's used to render out the values of the different properties we saw in the content section. Let's see if we can identify a few of these dynamic properties. We have one right here, model.value, and then we have body text. This one will render out the values added into the body text property in the content section. We have a few other Razor values here, like a grid and a few queries down here. Now, how about the static content? Well, that's the HTML elements right here, for example, where the values is written directly into the template. All right, let's do a quick test. We'll update the static content here. So let's just update this and we'll say new heading. We'll save our template. And then we'll go back to the content node here. And let's also update a piece of dynamic content. Let's update this heading here. This is dynamic. Great. Let's save and publish the node. All right, let's go and refresh the front page and see how this looks. So the values we've changed is the heading here and it's the heading down here. There we go. You can see that our dynamic value has updated right here and our static value down here as well. Now, as mentioned, content editors and most others who have access to the site have access to update the dynamic content in the content section. The static content, however, the only way to update this content would be to access and make changes to the template. This is normally something that content editors do not have access to, and they would therefore need to contact someone with more access in order to update these pieces of content. It is recommended to use dynamic for most of the content on your Umbraco CMS website. Unless, of course, there is some content that needs to be static at all times. By using dynamic content, you also have more control. You can add fallbacks, default values, and much more. Either way, it's good to know the difference between the two types of content when you're working with your Umbraco CMS website. That was all I had for you in this video. Go play around with the different types of content here and see what fits best for your website. Remember to keep a lookout for new videos on this channel. Have a good one.